Hello everyone, I'm Sunil. I welcome you back to my YouTube channel Tech Basics. Today I uploaded my second video which basically deals about the basics of C programming language. So we'll discuss today the history about C language, when it was developed, who has developed this particular language, and why this language was developed. Followed by, we'll try to understand the features of C language, followed by the structure of C program, and then we'll try to discuss the terms, variables and constants. And then we'll try to write the first program of C and we'll try to execute that particular program using online compiler. So let's get into details of history of C language. This particular language has got a quite interesting history wherein it was designed and implemented on an operating system called Unix operating system. So it was performed by Dennis Ritchie. So Dennis Ritchie was eager to design an operating system called as Unix operating system, and for which he has designed this particular language and he has given the name for that particular language as C language. This language basically started development with the help of a language called BCPL, which was developed by Martin Richards, and this particular language influenced the language which was designed by Ken Thompson, called as a language called B. C basically is a language which is also called as Procedural Programming Language, developed by Dennis Ritchie in the year 1972. We exactly do not specify the date like we specify a date for any invention. That is because the process might have started somewhere and might have completed. So in 1972, this particular language was developed, and it was developed to design an operating system called Unix operating system. Later, many other languages have borrowed the syntax, the features, directly or indirectly from the language called C language. The languages like Java, PHP, JavaScript, and many other languages are mainly based on C language. We also have a language called C++, which is nearly a superset of C language. We also say C as procedural language. What exactly we understand by a procedural language? A procedural language is wherein a program is written. When I say program, it is series of instructions which are written in a particular sequence. And here, we as a programmer need to specify what to do, how to do. Step-by-step procedure needs to be provided, and then all the instructions that we provide in a program are executed one after the other in a sequential manner. Examples of programming languages called procedural languages are Fortran, COBOL, Algol, Basic, C, and Pascal. Many of these languages we don't see today, but the example over here is C is also called a procedural language. So when I say procedural language, here the instructions are executed in a sequential order, which will help us to solve the problem that is mentioned and so on. Then let's understand what are the various features that we have are provided by this particular language called C language. So we say C language is simple language. We'll get into details of this. We say it is a portable language. We say C is a mid-level language. It is a structured language, followed by C has a rich library. We say C is extensible. C provides us a facility called recursion. In C, we can make use of a concept of pointers, and the program of C runs faster than any other language, followed by C also provides us something called memory management. Let's understand one by one what exactly we mean by these terms. So when you say C is simple, basically because C provides us something called a structured approach, wherein you can break the program into pieces and then you can execute the program. It also has a rich set of library functions, data types, and so on. We'll get into details of understanding what is library function, what we mean by data types, and so on as we progress. So we are just saying it is simple because you know when you write a bigger program in C language, you can divide that program into parts and then you can execute it. The reason we call it as simple language. We also say C is portable or machine independent. That is because you can write a program of C language on a particular system and you can carry the program from that system onto any other system. With little modifications on the other system, you can execute the program on the other system. The reason we say C is independent or independent of the hardware or machine independent, or you can also call it as portable. Portable is easy to carry. C, we can also call it as middle level programming language. When you say middle level programming language, it means that C provides us a facility to write low level programming, as well as C provides us a facility to write high level programming. Because it supports both low level and high level, we say C is also as middle level programming language. And then we say C is a structured programming language. As we just said, whenever you write a program of C language, your program can be, we can break the program into parts, where each part of this program you can call it as a function. So it is easy for us to understand when you divide the program into parts and then you can execute it. It is something like we can perform a concept of divide and rule policy. The next advantage we have, or the feature of C, is we have a rich library in C, where C provides us a lot of inbuilt functions that makes the development fast. So sometimes if you want to perform some activity, that activity is already developed for us, and then we can just make use of that particular function which is designed for us, and then you can write the code. That is how you can make it to run faster. Memory management concept is available in C, wherein we can allocate the memory in a program, which can happen dynamically, and we can also make use of free memory concepts, wherein you can allocate the memory to a particular variable, as well as we can deallocate the memory to a particular variable. We'll discuss more on these particular concepts as we progress. We say C is a faster language. The compilation and execution time of C is fast, since there are less number of built-in functions. So there is less number of overhead when you write a particular program and execute the program. And C, we say, executes faster when compared to rest of the languages. C also provides us a facility of making use of pointers concept. The concept of pointers will help us to directly interact with the memory, whereby we can write a program which can work faster when compared to the rest, and so on. We can use pointers for memory, structures, functions, arrays, etc. C also helps us to write programs with the help of a concept called recursion. In C, we can call a function within a function. So you can make one function to call itself, wherein we say it is a concept of code reusability, and this is available for us in C language. C is, finally we say C is extensible. Meaning of that is, it is an extensible programming language because it can easily adapt to the new features and so on. So these are the various advantages that we get when you work with a language called C language. Then let's understand the structure of C language or C program, we can say, which means what? When you write a program of C, your program should look like this. So the first thing that we need to write in our C program is we need to write a line called a header line, which means what? You need to write something like hash include stdio.h. This is what we also call it as preprocessor directive. This is to specify to our program that you want to use a ready-made file called as standard input output dot header file. Now a question that comes is, why is that I should include this file? So when you are going to include this particular file, it basically supports the statements that we write in our program, like printf statement and so on. So we'll get more details about this as we progress with a particular program. And then you are supposed to write a program, the next statement in a program as int main. So when you write any program of C language, your program will be written in the form of functions, and the function which is executed at the very beginning of the program is called a main program. So main function. So it is compulsory to write a function called main function. Apart from this function called main, you can have many other functions in our program, but writing all other functions are not compulsory. It is compulsory to write a function called main function. So whenever you write any function, you are supposed to write the name of the function as main followed by open and close parenthesis. And to the left side of this function, you are supposed to write here something called a return type. So this return type over here indicates what this function is going to return a value. So we'll discuss this as we progress. For a day, I may not be able to give you all the details, but as we progress with the program, we'll try to understand this. And then your function has to start with the help of a curly bracket in this way, and your function has to close in this fashion. This indicates the start of the function. This indicates the end of the function. So when you write your main function, in your main function, you are supposed to do something called variable declaration. We'll try to understand what is variable declaration. Then you are supposed to write the body of the function, which means you are going to write here the statements which will help you to perform input operation, output operation. You can do some calculations over here and so on, and followed by a last statement in a function called as return 0, which means this particular function is not going to return any value, that is 0 value, to other function. Okay, and then you need to close the function in this fashion. So this is how the program should look like. So if you go details about your first line, what we call it as the preprocessor directive, wherein it starts with hash symbol, include stdio.h. In C program, all the lines that starts with hash are processed by preprocessor, which is also a program invoked by the compiler. So if you remember in the last class, we discussed about translators, different types of translators. So this particular program called preprocessor program is basically invoked by our translator called a compiler. Now what exactly it will do? In a very basic term, preprocessor takes a C program and then it produces another program. The produced program has no lines with hash. All such lines are processed by preprocessor. So meaning of that is, whenever you make use of this particular statement called hash include stdio.h file, so this particular file will be included in our program, and then your program starts execution. And whenever we execute the program, your program starts execution from a line called, or from a function called main function. So this is the first line that gets executed in our program. So see the process of compilation of your C program. So whenever we write a program, our program can be given some name, and the extension for our file when you save it has to be .c. So here we call our program as a source program, wherein you will write sample.c. And then once you write this particular program, you are supposed to compile this program. So you can use a translator here called a compiler. Various compilers are available to us, online, offline. You can make use of any compiler. And then once you compile this source code, then you are going to get some kind of errors over here, in case there are. Errors over here are basically the grammatical errors, otherwise we call here as syntax errors. errors which are there in our program, like missing of a semicolon or writing something in capital and so on. We'll discuss on this, and then I will show you how to debug the errors and so on. And then once you compile your program, and if there are no errors in your program, then your program will be converted to, from sample.c, it gets converted to sample.obj. And then this obj, which is an object code, will be linked with other header file that we have added, and then you will get something called an executable code, wherein the output will be in the form of sample.exe. So when you run this file, you can see the output of your program, the task that you have performed on the user screen. So what is the process over there? Write a program, compile the program, check for the errors. If there are any errors, go back to the program, correct the errors. If no errors, then link the program or run the program, get the result, which is nothing but your output. So before we write a simple program in C, let's understand the term called variable and constant. I'll deal more about this when you discuss about data types. A variable basically is a value that changes from start of the program to end of the program. It can be defined as a name that is given to a memory location to store a value. So for example, say if you take a variable called a, and if the value of that particular variable at the beginning is 10, and then at the end of the program, if the value of that variable a is 20, then you will call it as variable because the value is changing within our program. If the value of that particular data item is constant, like say a is 10, and if it is 10 till the end of the program, then you can call that as that data item as constant. So I can consider gravitational force if I am present at one place as constant, but the same gravitational force if I am moving away from the earth to the moon, I can consider it as a variable. So for us, when I say the value changes, it is from the start of the program to end of the program. When I say the value is constant, it is from the start of the program to end of the program. So I'll give you more examples on variables, how to write this and so on. So let's try to understand, or let's try to code a first program of C language. So how do we write the first program of C language? So what you need to do, go with your software. You can pick up some online software over there. I have taken a software called REPL software, which is available online. You can work with this particular software online and you can type the program over there. So here there will be a ready-made file available for us called as main.c. Now only thing that you need to remember here is whenever you write a C program, it is a case sensitive language. So all your program code should be written in small case letters, and every statement in your program has to be terminated with a semicolon. So let's start with the first program. Let's say hello to everyone with our program. So how do we code the program? As the structure says, start the program by writing #include stdio.h, then followed by, you can write over there integer main, which is your function, followed by, now here as I have to display some message to the user, so I will just make use of the first statement which I am just telling you called as printf statement. So if I want to flash some output to the user, I can make use of a statement called printf. So I'll give you more details about this particular statement. So printf you need to write. So whenever you write some message, it is a constant value that you are flashing. So you need to put that in double quotes. So you say hello, my first C program. Complete that particular and then close the statement with the help of semicolon, followed by a line at the last called as return 0. So what is that we have written? We need to write with #include stdio.h, the preprocessor directive, followed by a function called main, and in that we have written only one statement to display some output to the user, and the statement to do so in C language is called a printf statement. You may have questions: what is print, what is f, why to write double quotes, and so on. We'll discuss more about this. And then followed by a statement called return 0. And then once you write this particular program, what all you need to do is just run this particular program. Say run. Now when you run the program, you can see onto the right side, you got the output, hello, my first C program. So this is how you are going to run the program. Now in case say you forgot to give here a semicolon and then you try to run the program, then you can see over there, you get a message expected semicolon after the expression. And then here you get a caret which indicates that your semicolon has to be placed over here. So you can put that semicolon over here and then you can again run the program. So when you compile the program, it checks for the errors, correct the errors, and then rerun the program till you get your final output. Thank you. I will stop in this video now, and then we'll go for the next video again within a span of 2 days. Thanks a lot.